Oh, hello, blimey.
That was quick.
Yeah, oh, sorry, we weren't doing anything untoward then, honestly. We weren't, honestly. Anyway, I'm Stamford Chidge. This, of course, is the Chelsea Football Fancast. This is the lovely Sophie Rose.
Hi, everyone.
You're looking very smart tonight.
Do you think?
I do.
No, I had work earlier, so I've got my makeup done professionally.
Okay. Well, there we go. Yeah. I did actually notice
I know
this.
you did, and I'm really happy that
there
you did.
Go.
She's very talented. She's very
Who
good
was
girl.
it? Anybody I know?
No, she's called Fern.
Fern? No, I don't know.
She's on my Twitter if anyone needs a makeup artist. But
okay.
back to the football.
I know lots of really good makeup artists.
Do you?
Yeah. Never for myself, obviously.
Why not?
I don't need it.
Both of these two have had makeup today.
No, they don't need it.
Mine's been done professionally today.
Yeah,
as well.
exactly.
Yeah,
see?
Yeah, okay. I think we should move on. This, of course, is the lovely Dan Levene, known to many of us as Blues Chronicle, at Blues Chronicle, and to Daniel Klassen as Bruce Chronicle. And, of course, this is the lovely Dan Silver. Dan Silves on Twitter, or Dan Silv 73. Yeah. So there we go. Anyway, we were just about to get into the nuts and bolts of the Chelsea-Newcastle game before the break, and then I suddenly had this amazing realisation that amidst our lovely panel tonight, we have somebody who loiters, I think that's the right word, loiters outside of Konakai on a match day with a microphone in her hand, in doing her, what I suppose is her weekend job.
It's my... I wouldn't even call it a job. I love speaking to everybody.
Do you get paid for it?
Well, of course.
Then it's a job.
But yes, but I would say it's hard to call something a job when you have so much fun doing it.
Well, how about that?
There you go. But no, I do it after every home game, whether it's Cup, Champions League or Premiership, whichever.
You're not fussy, really, are you?
No, whichever. And, yeah, very rarely. You know, they sort of give you an idea of how the game was. I mean, if I go myself, I sort of know the gist. But even so, most people come out and they say the same sort of thing. But I could say, you know, they said Aspilicueta had a really bad game.
I was going to say, what is the word on the street then? Or what was the word on the street?
Everyone loves Dave. I think he's great. But just this game and the Tottenham game, was it Tottenham? They weren't too pleased with him. However, Hazard is the only one they literally have nothing bad about to say. Matic, up until probably the game before last, they were in full support of, to be honest, and they still are. I mean, Hazard and Matic are always the ones. Whether, I think with Oscar, and obviously, you know, I love him, he made the assist, he produced the goal, but I think it's everything in between, and that's why I think Hazard never gets a bad word said against him, because he is an all-round great player.
Hazard is one, I mean, I'm sure the boys would agree with this as well, actually. I mean, we've all been going for a horribly long time, and, you know, my experience of football, there's nothing that football supporters love more than a player like Hazard, because he's the kind of player that you would gladly pay money to watch.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, he's
totally. He's like the Zolas, the Nevins, that player that gets
Charlie Cook.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I was never. I'm not old enough or lucky enough to have seen Charlie Cook play at his peak, but it's that kind of a player, isn't
He's
it?
the champagne in the cocktail.
Yeah, I like that. He's the cherry on top, maybe.
Do you know, he's the only player that when he runs down the wing, gets just outside the box and he's got 3 defenders around him, I just don't even worry that he's not going to get past him.
Yeah,
it's one of those, and that's nice. You don't have that panic and feeling like, oh, God, you know, when somebody's about to shoot and you think, oh, it's definitely going to get blocked.
He very rarely loses the ball, doesn't he,
yeah,
actually? So that's a really good point.
He's a massive confidence boost, yes.
Having said all that, I think being devil's advocate a little bit, he did go through a period where he dipped below form a little bit. I think since the New Year, since Christmas in particular, he had a great December. And I think he's really picked up now. Nothing at all to do with the talk about his contract, of course.
I think actually, if you look at Hazard's career overall for Chelsea, I think he has been horribly inconsistent. If you could level one accusation at him, but I think, and this is why. I mean, you know, one of the million reasons why I'm so glad we got Jose Mourinho as manager is that he will make him, even him, a better player. And what he'll do is he will make him deliver at that level more consistently.
I don't think he's an easy player to manage, from what I understand.
In what respect?
Just because he's, as far as from people who know him, when they talk about him, they say he's interested basically in 2 things. One of them is playing football, and the other one is just being with his family. And, you know, it's very difficult, I suppose,
But that's surely a good thing.
Well, it is a little bit.
I mean, he could be Rio Ferdinand.
Well, yeah, I mean...
if you see what I mean.
I see what you mean, yes. But I think he's a difficult man to motivate. He's got his own ideas about how football should be played.
Is he quite insular? Quite shy?
I wouldn't go that far. No, he's definitely not shy.
All right, OK.
He's very, very far from shy.
OK, that's good.
But he's very single-minded.
Well, that's also good.
Yes, it is good, yeah.
But I was just about to say, just quickly, when you said about Jose Mourinho, I think since Jose Mourinho's come, he's told him, if you want to win something like whatever this bloody Blonde d'Or thing is called.
The Blonde d'Or.
Blonde d'Or.
I've not heard of that.
Not to mention it, but there's a really funny picture on Twitter earlier of Steven Gerrard.
Full on the floor.
Yeah. That was just a great picture I said earlier.
Fell on the floor. Yeah,
but
that's good.
no, I reckon he's probably said to him, if you want to win something
you want to be
like
the best.
You're going to have to improve. And I think we can safely say since Jose Mourinho's been there, his level has just gone a step higher.
I did the same with Joe Cole, because Joe Cole played his best football under Mourinho.
He did. And he made him a better all-round player. Right, we should get to the meat and two veg of the whole Newcastle match, really. And I want to kick this off. Sophie, bless her heart,
Hello.
hadn't had time to read the script, but clearly knew what was coming.
I knew.
Because I thought this, when I saw that team selected, because I did have a bit of a moan about Courtois and Cahill after the Spurs match, as you know, Dan. Were Cahill and Courtois benched for Zuma and Cech, or were they rested or stroke injured? Because I know that Holland was saying that Courtois got a slightly broken thumb, but Cahill had a stinker against Spurs, and Courtois let 5 goals in. Hello.
Yeah, I'm inclined to believe that Cahill was dropped. I think they didn't risk Courtois. That's my opinion. I think Cahill was clearly dropped. Courtois with a finger injury, you can't risk it if he gets.
Well, but why was he on the bench then?
Nah,
because Jamal Blackman maybe he's not ready. We haven't. Now Schwartz has gone. We haven't got a third choice. Point. I just think Cahill definitely dropped. Courtois not risked.
What say you, Mr. Levene?
I think to varying degrees they were both dropped.
Thank you. See, I'm not completely stupid. Thank you.
Steve Holland said afterwards that Courtois' finger was broken, that he could have played, but that they don't need to risk it. That's the official party line, of course. But if they're that confident that he could play, they'd have picked him. So effectively, he has been dropped. Cahill very clearly was dropped.
Yeah.
Do you know? I think, to be honest, if I think he knew that Zuma was going to be in his next team. And, out of the 4 defenders, who's he going to drop? He's obviously going to drop Cahill because he hasn't... He got... I mean...
Well, I think he also deserves it,
Well, he deserves to be on the... Cahill deserves to be on the bench and Zuma deserves to play. And I think probably, when Cahill played... what was our game before? Watford. He had the chance then to show that, that was a one-off and this is... And to be honest, I don't think he really made that much of an impact. And I think Courtois, I think he's absolutely great, but I still think he's been brought in very quickly to just be our first goalkeeper, when actually Cech is a really good goalkeeper and he's probably got a lot of things to learn still.
I agree with that, actually. But I funnily enough, I've written an article about it today, which is... I don't know if it's out yet on IB Times, but it will be coming out either today or tomorrow. But basically, it's an absolute love letter to Petr Cech, but who I thought was superb, by the way. I thought he was absolutely superb. And funnily enough, you were here, I moaned again on the last show, saying that, sometimes a keeper has to keep you in a game. And I don't think that Courtois did that against Spurs. I think he could have done better for 2 or 3 of those goals. And a great keeper would have saved at least one of them and maybe kept us in that game. And that's what great keepers do. And actually Cech did exactly that on Saturday because, as you said, we were under the cosh for a lot of that first half. And he made at least, I think, 2 superb saves. I think the one from Gouffran and the one from Cabella were world class, and they kept us in the game. He also made another couple, I think, too. But those 2 that I think of.
Do you think in the New Year's Day game that Courtois got a little bit? I think
he was shell-shocked.
I don't think nervous is the right word, but how he obviously was watching how the team performed, and it looks like he got a bit intimidated by it because on another day. He could easily save, like you said, 2 or 3 of those goals.
From memory, I think just before he scored, he got injured. Because I remember after they flashed, he got injured. So maybe that kind of knocked him sideways slightly.
It felt like a bit of a confidence.
It's given Jose a conundrum because if they were both dropped, they've both put in faultless performances. So where he plays Swansea, he's got a big decision to make.
I think the other thing we should say, I mean, this is not we're not having we're not coating off Courtois, are we? Because you've also got a goalkeeper to play in front of the defence he plays with, and of course we all know that against Spurs the defence had an absolute shocker that day. So you have to mitigate some of it, I think. That said, I think we know why Courtois was chosen as the number 1, and this is what I alluded to in the article today. You had no choice really. You had to pick Courtois as your number 1 this season because. We needed him back in the fold because if we didn't get him back in the fold, he was going to have a hissy fit and go somewhere else. And really what you're doing is you're backing 10 years of potential. And whether I like it or not, Courtois' best years are ahead of him. Cech's best years are probably behind him.
Yep.
Yeah?
Entirely true.
100%.
Okay.
Agreed.
Blimey.
I don't think I have anything to say to that.
Wow, that's a first.
Chidge has spoken.
I've done some homework this weekend, as you can see. But we should also talk. I mean, actually, just for the record, apart from the superb saves he made, I mean, that I think you're right, Dan. I think there is potentially a conundrum here. There ought to be, I suspect, because Czech's not conceded a goal for 488 minutes, and he's kept a clean sheet in 7 out of his last 9 Premier League games. Dan.
Great stats.
Aren't they?
You have been reading up.
I have. I've been
You
bored.
counted those minutes yourself?
I have, yeah. It took me 488 minutes to find those stats, in fact. But, I mean, stats aren't everything, I absolutely accept. But is there a case for sticking Czech in as number 1 at the moment?
You said there, I think that you thought Czech was, or certainly had been, a world-class goalkeeper, and you sort of suggested that maybe Courtois wasn't yet. I think Chelsea have got 2 world-class goalkeepers.
Great, isn't it?
Fantastic, and we're the only team in the world who has.
Yeah.
And long may it remain so.
Yeah. Okay. Zuma's another interesting thing because I think he's
love for him.
You're feeling a lot of love for Zuma.
I've got a lot of love for Zuma. Yeah.
Is his middle name Happy?
It is.
Yeah, it
He's
is.
really
No way.
happy. Kurt Happy Zuma.
When Kurt's happy, we're all happy.
You know we should do a new song for him, don't we? Funnily enough, I was listening to...
What is his song? Oh, no, Zuma, yeah.
I've got to tell you this. Over Christmas, I was obviously very bored, and I found the website that has all of the John Peel's festive 50s. This is one for the teenagers, so you can fall asleep for 5 minutes. But, right, I found all the old festive 50s on this website, and I've just put a playlist together of all the festive 50s on Spotify, and one of them has Captain Sensible's rendition of Happy Talk on it.
Please don't get people singing that. It's
happy, 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 Kurt, and we'll think about the rest.
Okay.
Yeah, that's quite good. Yeah.
You like that? Sophie likes that.
I do like these, like Zuma, but it's so short.
Well, the Pharrell, we got Happy Now.
Yeah, talk about goals you'd like to score. I'll work on it. I'll work on it during the show and see if I can come up. But that will be the start. Happy, 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 Kurt. I like it. Sophie likes it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's good.
But anyway, young Zuma did very well, I think, although I don't think he is the finished article by any means.
No,
but it's nice to see Jose, putting some faith in him.
Yeah, he's a long, long way off the finished article, but he's going to be very good. We saw a lot of that on Saturday. I think a lot of people maybe built him up a little bit too much on Saturday. He didn't have a fantastic game. He had a very good game. He didn't do anything wrong. But let's not say that he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, because he's not yet. Maybe he will be one day.
Dear old Gripper Grimes was coming out with that on Twitter. Actually, I miss Greg's miserableness. Actually, to poo-poo the claims that he's the next best thing since sliced bread. What I will say though, to wrap this up, I'd be interested to hear what you lot think about this. What I like about the fact that Cahill and I actually think Courtois were dropped, it shows that Jose can and will make tough decisions for the sake of the team.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes?
I mean, when Zuma was picked, it was down to the fact, okay, Cahill's had a bad game, so he's been dropped. Zuma then got picked, and I think sometimes managers think, okay, he's had a good game, I'll put him in the next. But I don't think Jose Mourinho thought that. I thought he generally thought, okay, he is a potential defender, as in not just someone on the bench. I can bring him on if I know somebody's got injured or there's a problem where somebody can't play. Like, I think that's what he thought, and I don't want everyone to get carried away with Zuma, because I think he is really great, but obviously he has still got a lot to learn, and I don't want him to get too overconfident and have a bad game and that be it. And same with Gary Cahill, though. I think this will be a wake-up call to him, and he will get back to his form.
He's a quality player, there's no doubt of that. Do you think, Jose, is this proof that Jose will make the tough decisions?
Oh, definitely, yeah. But the other thing to
Quite
remember,
like about him.
The other thing to remember about Jose is, particularly with his defence, he doesn't change it until somebody makes a mistake.
Yeah.
If Zuma's had a good game, there's every reason that he'll play next week, and he'll keep on playing until he makes a mistake.
Yeah.
And that's, if you remember, that's what he did with Aspie when he first came into the team. That's why Ashley stopped playing.
Yeah.
It happens over and over again, and that's how Jose
He doesn't
is.
muck about, does he?
Well,
it's kind of what you want.
Yeah, we know he's ruthless because he dropped Czech.
Yeah. Well, that was... I think there were other circumstances around that decision.
And the same when he came in first time round, when we had Koulibaly in Czech. I think to be that top manager, you've got to be ruthless.
I like that. Now, I use the word rhythm a lot in the opening part, as you'll probably try to forget, actually, let alone remember. But, I mean, it was a pretty poor first half. I think we all recognise that. We were a lot better in the second. We were a lot better in the second half, but it seemed to me to be a bit of a hangover from the Christmas games, and that's like, the performances. I mean, were they tired? Were they complacent? It's a bit of a recent theme, I think. They have been stuttering a bit in the last, I would say, month or so. What's missing at the moment, Dan?
We did have a tough December. We had four games in 11 days. 3 of them away from home. Nobody else in the league had that. Yeah. Stoke were the only ones who played that many games in that amount of time, and 3 of the games were at home. But at the same time, Chelsea have been built up to be this greatest thing since sliced bread. The unbeatables that people kept on writing about, which was nonsense. It was always paper talk. It was never going to happen. And if that is the blip, then I think everyone's going to be very happy about it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Do you think the blip's over?
I have to admit, when I finally got it upstream, and I've said to Dan, everyone in the game, I said, what the hell's going on in there? Because it was 20 minutes without a goal, and all I could hear on Sky Sports was Newcastle running the game.
Were all over us, so.
And I was a bit worried, to be honest. But I think Oscar's goal gave us a massive boost. And then once that happened, I think Newcastle's then sort of got a bit intimidated or, whatever. But to be honest, I'm hoping that it is over because, to be honest, they need to get it back together soon because we can't afford to do anything else wrong. We can't afford to drop any points.
That's right.
It's now, we've dropped points against, I don't know, bloody who. We dropped points at Newcastle and then against Tottenham, and Tottenham that should never have happened. So you really can't.
Never happen against
It should never
Tottenham,
ever. No, but it shouldn't. It shouldn't happen in general. So I don't know. I'm hoping that it's over. And I think we're going to get back to it, but we need to be like, Sky Sports were saying at one point we were there's no better team in the league.
No, well, it's just hyperbole.
We need to get.
The thing that I think you mentioned this, I think it's spot on with this, is that they looked like a different team after that goal went in.
Yeah.
The confidence came flooding back. And, I think also, as we all know, scoring just before half-time is a brilliant time to score. Newcastle's heads definitely dropped because they didn't deserve to be 1-0 down. They deserved to be at least 2-0 up, actually, at that time, I think. Yeah?
Yeah, and you might have seen a piece that was out on my line.
I read all your work.
Thank you very much.
I am your
my
reader.
You're my reader. Which came from Steve Holland post-match on Saturday, and he was saying that sometimes managers have got to be psychologists, and we had to take the team in at half-time on Saturday and say to them, look, you need to be more positive mentally, you need to be more positive on the pitch, play further up. And he said also, there's a team there with one or two guys in it who aren't used to playing Premier League football all the time, and you've just got to lift them and tell them they can do it, and that's what they did.
It's very interesting, actually, because it tells me that, if you go back earlier in the season, there were a lot of comparisons being made. Is this Chelsea team better than the 2004 5-6 team? And I thought, no, not in the least, because that team was like a machine. They were ruthless. Everything was automatic. They wouldn't have needed to have had that chat, I get the impression. Whereas I think this team, it's still got a vulnerability and a fragility about it. And I think certainly mentally, I think that point that Steve Holland made is absolutely spot on.
Well, certainly
they need that, and they play like
this team's got fewer leaders on the pitch than that one did.
Yeah.
In a year or two's time, maybe it'll have just as many. But we haven't got Drogba on the pitch all the time. He was one of the big leaders. We haven't got Carvalho, who was a big, personality.
Before you even get into Czech, Terry, Lampard,
And that team was more evolved because they're all in their mid to late 20s.
Yeah, we had Champions League winners in that team, didn't we?
But also we had consistency, a lot of consistency back then. And I think it's got lost over the few years, and there would be times a couple of seasons ago. I know it's different this season where every game I'd be thinking, oh, are we going to win? Are we going to lose? Because you don't know how we're going to play out, and that's why I'm hoping this is a little bit of a dip.
But you're right, Soph. I remember going in those days, and if we went 1-0 up, you were pretty sure that you could just sit down and relax. If you went 2-0 up, you knew you could because that was game over. Chelsea just did not lose in that Mourinho team of that era. Once they were a goal or two up, I don't really feel like that at the moment with this team. I still think there's still a way to go. There is a level of improvement to make, and I think interestingly enough, it's psychologically. And if you remember, this team has not won a Premier League title for 5 years. This team has not won one period because it's a fairly new team, but Chelsea have not won the league for 5 years. That, in the context of where we've been in the last 10, 12, 13 years, is quite a long time.
Yeah.
Well, I think
definitely.
I think, to be honest, Mourinho hasn't done too badly. Okay, yeah, he had last year to. I think he was basically examining the players, seeing what needed to be fixed, and he's fixed our striker. He's brought in Diego Costa. He's, got us a great defender in Zuma. Like I don't think anybody can really fault him, too much to date. And I just think it's a case of now everyone gelling together, getting used to each other, and then playing.
We've got to carry this on after the break, which we surely will do. We will see you in a few seconds. Look forward to it.